Happy holidays to everybody. Grateful for our fans. It's a great atmosphere at Fiserv tonight. It's a little bit different vibe in there without the students, but you can feel the holiday spirit. And as Stevie mentioned, our theme for the game was regardless of circumstances. That's a mantra that we utilize, in our program, because if you want to be good, you've got to be able to hang in there and go after being your best and supporting each other to be your best, even when things don't go your way and circumstances are not ideal. And obviously we felt like in our last game coming into today, circumstances caught up to us and affected our spirit and our energy. I thought we did a much better job of that tonight.
It's kind of a funky box score where you have 28 more shots than they did. Just what did you like about your activity on the offensive boards?
We needed more shots than they got because, we didn't make many of them. And kind of had a feeling, when you play Butler, they always do a good job of mucking up the game, slowing down the game. Then they went small to start the game, pretty much all perimeter players. So we knew they'd be switching pretty much everything. And then, we got a lot of really good looks that didn't go in. Sometimes that happens. We really emphasized offensive rebounding. To get 47% of our misses back was a huge deal. That's the number one reason why we got so many more shots than them.
The 2 turnovers, what would you like about the way that your team took care of the basketball?
Well, as Stevie mentioned, it's amazing the connection between spirit and focus. And, when you're in the right place in terms of the spirit and energy that you're bringing to the court and bringing to your teammates, the focus that you bring to things like taking care of the ball, making free throws, communication, typically is at a high level as well.
Shaka right here. How do you feel like you all were able to kind of seize control in those opening minutes of the second half?
Just staying tough. I like the way that our guys were at halftime. We went into the half, and we always talk about defense and offense from a points per possession standpoint. Butler had scored 1.17 points per possession in the first half, which is a lot higher than we would like. And I told the guys, I thought we actually defended better than that. But the number is the number, so we have to make them miss. And I thought we did a better job coming out of halftime, ramping up our aggressiveness. But again, the key is, guys weren't moping around that we didn't have the lead. Somebody told me after the game, they said, well, we'll take that one. They've obviously never played or coached. Like, no Big East game is like, we'll take it. It's, we have a level of gratitude that we were able to do what it took to win. And, Butler's a dangerous team that's had some good wins on this season and obviously beat us last year here. And I thought the way our guys handled adversity was way better this time around, and that's what allowed us to win.
Cam Jones only had 1 foul tonight. Has there been an emphasis all week on keeping him out of foul trouble?
There's always an emphasis, but again, it goes back to having a level of focus and being in the present. For him, that's a big key. He fouls when he's not in the present. When he's a half step behind or half step ahead, doesn't have the clarity of mind. That's when he fouls. Otherwise, he's pretty good about it. And I thought the guy's he's terrific with his humility and his response to a tough game like we had at Dayton the other day. He, as much as any player I've ever coached, he can't sleep after a loss. He's not the only one. Stevie as well. Most guys sleep like a baby. Those two are like coaches, because they're winners. And, he had a real good presence of mind on the defensive end. That's why he didn't follow.
Obviously, Coach, at halftime, shots aren't falling. Was there a little more of an emphasis in the second half to get to the rim? Did you guys attack a little differently in the second half, or was it kind of just business as usual?
It was business as usual. I mean, we did make a couple play calls that were, drive first. And, they do a nice job with their help defense when you're going to the middle. So we made some play calls where we were going baseline where there wasn't as much help down there, particularly with them playing a lineup with no bigs. You know, they pretty much had all perimeter players out there for 3/4 of the game. So, yes, that was an emphasis through how we were playing, but we always want to take open threes. I mean, these guys are good shooters. Ben Gold, David Joplin, Cam Jones, Chase Ross, Stevie Mitchell. We'll take open threes from those guys all day long. And we believe over the course of the season that they'll knock down their fair share.
Coach, Telford and Brooks had a really strong start to the game. Just how important was it to slow them down in the second half, and what were you able to do to keep them from having as big of impact in the second half?
Those guys are a load. I mean, those guys are good players. They're going to have a good start in a lot of games. But, you know, I thought we did a good job of making them work as the game wore on. They still got some buckets, but we made them work a little bit harder. When you look at their field goal percentage as a team and their 3 best players or leading scorers, they were pretty efficient, you know, over 50%. However, you know, none of them was able to get up like 15, 20 shots. I thought the way that Jop and then other guys on our team battled on Telfort, he's a load. He's a tough player. You know, and he had it going there for a minute in the first half where he was getting a switch on Ben Gold and made a couple threes. The bank three, you know, you can't really say much about that. You just got to tip your hat to him. But I thought our guys' aggressiveness and just willing to make them work for everything was, you know, what allowed us to win the game. Obviously, when we play them again, we'll try to make them more inefficient.
Just by the nature of Stevie's game, he's always kind of banged up a little bit.
Yes.
How are you trying to maintain him, have him at as like the healthiest he can be?
I've never seen someone that goes so hard, so consistently. And every season it's just, you know, there's, as Mike Tomlin says, bumps and bruises associated with play. And you know, he's a guy that happens to. But, you know, after the Dayton game, he was so upset. He's like, I'm practicing. And it's like, well, you know, you need to kind of rest that thing because he's got an Achilles tendonitis pretty serious. And his spirit in practice, along with Jop and some other guys, really ignited our preparation. But the answer to your question is Kenny Wilka, our trainer. They spend a lot of time together. And Stevie, you know, he's really, really dedicated to doing everything he can to take care of his body. Then when he gets on the court, it's a matter of will. You know, he just kind of wills himself to play as hard as he does.
Last one. Just wonder if there's any update regarding Sean Jones and his potential availability. And
No, there's no real, you know, definitive update. You know, as I've said, he's been practicing. You know, and I don't want to speak for him because ultimately, you know, we've made clear from the beginning with him, most importantly, and our team, and then also anyone that asked that, you know, it's his call, it's his decision when he comes back. You know, that was a devastating injury that he had. And he's done a great job working his way back. I think he looks good in practice. I think he looks better than he thinks he's playing. But, you know, ultimately that's his decision. And, you know, we're fortunate to have some young guys that we're continuing to bring along that are not necessarily him at all. But those guys are good young players that I think can help us more and more moving forward. Thank you, guys. Have a good holiday.